Good morning, everybody. We will be starting this session. Manuel Iglesias, the First Council, will be chairing the session. He's from the EU. So how the session will go, given that we have eaten into an hour of our time, is the countries will give a brief lessons learned, cross-country, and recommendations within 5 minutes. So you can congest it, and then we'll have a session to open up where we'll have a panel discussion, and then after the panel discussion, we'll open it up to everybody else to ask questions, and then we'll wrap it up from there.
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear colleagues. My name is Manuel Iglesias. I work in the European Delegation to South Africa, and Save the Children has kindly invited us to me to chair this panel on lessons learned. Without being long, I just want to restate the reasons why the European Union is supporting this event, and more generally the improvement of migration management capacities throughout Africa. As you all know, we're facing very severe challenges also in Europe when it comes to migration management. So basically, I think it's very timely for me to be here to also see the kind of recommendations and lessons learned you're drawing from your experience in the very important issue of managing regular and irregular migration for children. As you all know, you probably all work with the European Union in your partner countries in this and other areas. We share with you the importance of trying to protect children as part of most vulnerable populations when it comes to protecting the human rights, dignity, and solidarity. Pretty much like you're doing in the Southern African region, in the European Union, 28 countries, we give a lot of attention and prominence to the issue of protecting children when it comes to migration. We have developed an action plan on accompanying minors that lasted until 2014 and has given a lot of prominence in the protection needs for accompanying children. This is firmly on the European agenda on migration, and as we know, children and people have no borders, so it's critical that we work together on this matter. Your problems are our problems, and vice versa. So I'm very happy to be here. We also work in all the international community globally on the migration and refugee compact, so this is very timely. I encourage you, all your countries, to bring lessons learned to this international discussion, so that we all jointly have the best compact and plan we can achieve. So without further ado, I would start with my job of chairing this panel and asking our four colleagues from the four countries, Zambia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, to make a very short presentation, 5 minutes if possible, concerning lessons learned, cross-cutting issues, and recommendations they drawn from the panel discussions. So we'll start with a colleague from Zambia.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Muganda Chansa from Zambia. I'll present on the lessons learned in Zambia, the cross-cutting issues that we observed, and the recommendations. I'll start with the lessons learned. It's very important that we have this discussion on lessons learned, because it's going to review an insight that we gained in trying to manage children on the move cross-border way. So the first lesson that was learned is having all key stakeholders to support the awareness creation of the child helpline. This is in support with the children and the communities, so that children are able to access the services. This is behind the backdrop that the child helpline was established to provide information to the communities, so that they can know the various services that migrant children are supposed to be provided with. And the second lesson learned is that the inadequate data on unaccompanied and separated migrant children makes it very difficult to plan for interventions, because we've learned that even vulnerable children that are not documented are entitled to accessing different social amenities. So it's very important that policymakers are provided with accurate, policy-relevant information. The third lesson learned is that the current case management system should have a specific component that deals with handling unaccompanied and separated migrant children. This is from the backdrop that our focus is to really ensure that the needs of these vulnerable children are met, because we know that these children present to us different situations that are unique for each and every case. So it is very important that we have the aspects that will deal with these unaccompanied and separated migrant children. The fourth lesson learned is that there is need for a full spectrum or comprehensive response for addressing social protection issues that lead to the children being separated from their parents and guardians. We know that issues of social protection are some of the push factors that lead to these children being separated from their guardians and parents. So if we could address issues such as poverty, as well as education, then it will help as we try to help these vulnerable children. We go to the cross-cutting issues. One of the issues that we identified that was cross-cutting amongst all the countries is the language barrier. Secondly is the improved information management system, both at country and regional levels. Then we have the third aspect, which is capacity building for the frontline officials in handling unaccompanied and separated children. The recommendations, the first one is to have harmonized guidelines on handling unaccompanied and separated children among SADC countries. Second, to have an improved information management system at country and regional level. The third recommendation, to setting up of the child helpline among SADC member countries. And the fourth recommendation is to increase advocacy for protection of the migrant children. Thank you very much. End of my presentation.
Thank you very much for sticking to the time, in particular for the useful recommendations. And then we move to our next presenter, which I think is Mozambique.
Muito obrigado pelo espaço. Nós vamos apresentar aquilo que foram as lições aprendidas por parte do grupo de Moçambique. Nós começamos pela organização, a estruturação dos nossos encontros. Nós, dos encontros realizados, nós constatamos que, dos encontros bilaterais dos cross-borders, nós constatamos que a definição de um dia das reuniões cross-border não são suficientes, não permitem a discussão e aprofundamento da agenda. E nesta linha nós propomos que as reuniões cross-border bilaterais tenham a duração no mínimo de 2 dias. O primeiro dia que seja dedicado a discussões gerais, do painel geral, assim como fizemos ontem, de partilha de informações importantes, de relatórios e outros assuntos de interesse comum. E o segundo dia seria dedicado a trabalhos mais práticos. Nós referimos, quando falamos de trabalhos mais práticos, nos referimos ao trabalho sobre os planos de seguimento conjunto entre os países e assim como as ações de seguimento das ações que são definidas, as recomendações, como é que os países, os cross-borders vão seguir o plano que é determinado. Então nós constatamos essa dificuldade e propomos aqui algumas saídas. Também constatamos que nas intervenções, um dos problemas mais comuns foi a falta de documentação das crianças. Então, nós aqui temos aqui alguma constatação que, se envolvermos cada vez mais os nossos consulados ou as nossas representações diplomáticas, irá nos facilitar um pouco mais a gestão ou a facilitação do acesso à documentação por parte das nossas crianças. Porque falamos aqui, por exemplo, que temos crianças moçambicanas num outro país que não estão identificadas e isso dificulta o acesso aos serviços. Mas nesse país nós temos lá a representação diplomática de Moçambique que pode ajudar a facilitar esse processo de documentação. Então eu acho que nos nossos encontros, nas nossas reuniões, o grupo acha que nesses encontros devemos envolver mais os nossos consulados e representações diplomáticas para nos ajudarem nessa gestão de processo de documentos. Nós constatamos também que há necessidade de se envolver cada vez mais nesses encontros os atores principais do MITSA. Nós falamos aqui do ACNUR e do UNDOC, que é importante garantir-se a continuidade das recomendações do MITSA. Eu penso que se em todos os encontros envolvermos todos os atores que são principais na implementação do MITSA, podem nos ajudar a seguir e a simplificar as recomendações do MITSA para os nossos encontros, e isso ia terminar também com o enquadramento das recomendações do MITSA nos planos de cada país. Foi uma lição aprendida também que a indicação dos pontos focais entre os países que têm fronteiras conjuntas facilita o fluxo de informação, incluindo o processo de repatriamento e integração das crianças nos locais de origem. Também constatamos que é possível coordenar as ações fronteiriças entre Moçambique e outros países da região, apesar da barreira linguística que foi aqui muito levantada. Acho que, na nossa opinião, o que deve acontecer é que não devemos colocar a barreira linguística como uma limitante e nos bloquearmos de fazer o nosso trabalho. O que temos que fazer é ser criativos e encontrarmos saídas práticas e simples para ultrapassar essa barreira linguística. Ontem esteve-se aqui a colocar a questão de recorrermos a algumas pessoas, ou líderes comunitários, alguns líderes tradicionais que estejam naquela área fronteiriça para nos ajudar a dissipar ou a clarificar alguma situação que a língua pode não estar a facilitar. Podemos recorrer às traduções, acho que está aqui um exemplo. Estamos a trabalhar, estamos a partilhar os planos, estamos a planificar, recorrendo ao serviço de tradução. Então nós achamos que podemos sim trabalhar, apesar dessa barreira linguística. Eu penso que os outros países podem não estar a sentir, mas como Moçambique é o único país com uma língua diferente na região, pode estar a sentir sobre isso, mas nós achamos que é possível fazer o trabalho apesar da barreira linguística. Também nós constatamos aqui que as questões, ainda há um pouco de dificuldade na inserção das questões da universalidade dos direitos da criança. Então, nós achamos que os países ainda não estão a tratar a questão dos direitos da criança de uma forma universal. Ainda estamos a colocar fronteiras para cumprirmos os direitos da criança. Então, é importante trabalharmos e ajustarmos as nossas políticas públicas, considerando que os direitos da criança não têm fronteira, elas são universais. A criança tem os mesmos direitos, estando no seu país, ou estando num país vizinho ou num outro, independentemente da distância que a separa do seu país, ela tem os mesmos direitos. Então, é uma questão que nós constatamos nas discussões e achamos que pode ser considerada nas nossas ações futuras. Nós fizemos alguns planos no grupo de trabalho. Planificamos a realização de um cross-border entre Moçambique e África do Sul para junho deste ano. Também planificamos a realização de um cross-border Moçambique e Zâmbia para agosto deste ano ainda. E também planificamos uma campanha de prevenção ao tráfico na fronteira da Ponta Dor. A fronteira da Ponta Dor é uma fronteira que liga Moçambique e a África do Sul. Então, são esses planos imediatos que ontem concertamos com os países em que estamos a trabalhar. Relativamente aos assuntos transversais, nós, como Moçambique, consideramos que todas as crianças residentes em Moçambique, e é essa prática, que todas as crianças residentes em Moçambique têm acesso à educação pública grátis. A educação em Moçambique até 7 classes é grátis, E o acesso à primeira classe não é condicionado à apresentação de documentos. A criança entra no sistema de educação, que é gratuito até 7ª classe, e depois regulariza a sua situação estando já no sistema de educação. Também a questão estende-se ao acesso à saúde, ao acesso ao sistema de saúde pública, sublinhamos que é pública, não se condiciona a apresentação de documentos para qualquer indivíduo que se apresenta aos serviços de saúde pública em Moçambique. Também em situação de emergência, as crianças são atendidas de forma igual, independentemente da sua nacionalidade, sem nenhuma discriminação, conforme orientam os instrumentos internacionais de proteção à criança. E é assim que nós terminamos a nossa apresentação. Muito obrigado por ter escutado.
Muito obrigado. Sem demora, without any further ado, we move to the next presentation, which is Zimbabwe. Please, you have the floor.
All right. The lessons that we have learned at Zimbabwe is holding regular cross-border meetings has been one of the lessons that we've been learning from all our cross-border forum meetings. Coordination of partners, our civil society partners and government, the income generating project that Save the Children is holding in partnership with the Rural District Council has helped to reduce the risk of migration, that it is helping the payment of fees, the meeting expenses to travel for the children to acquire birth certificates. Then also other lessons learned were the importance of raising awareness in safe migration, the presence of the Consular General in the cross-border coordination meeting has been quite a lesson to us. Then the need to increase information dissemination of the immigration requirements on migrant children, effectiveness of child protection structures, raising awareness on the people with permit holders, the importance of reporting mechanisms for identified cases. They have improved the management of handling cases on children on the move. The case management is a very effective tool on the protection of unaccompanied minors. It has also come to be a very effective lesson. Then, as for the way forward, there is need to scale up reintegration programs for reunified children, the prevention programs to address push factors, and there's a need for a strong MIS on capturing the children on the move. Then, Then as for our challenges, we have limited numbers of children, the limited number of days given at the border entries by immigration is coming as a challenge that we see parents outdoing the system by not going to the borders or not having passports because they know that they'll have limited numbers being given at the border. We also have limited resources for reintegration processes. So that should be all from Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then we move to South Africa.
Afternoon, colleagues. My name is Robert Mugwebo, Social Supervisor in Limpopo, South Africa. I'll be presenting on behalf of South Africa. I'll start on the lesson learned. What we have learned through the inception of cross-border is the political will in both countries, wherein when we discuss issues at the cross-border level, already we had that political will in terms of making sure that whatever issues that we raise on cross-border that being taken at the political level. Number two, what we have learned since the inception of cross-border meeting with all countries is the inclusion of health issues in South Africa where they have to access health. They are able to do so in all the hospitals, in all primary health care facilities, and in other areas in South Africa. But we, Department of Health, also introduced visiting the farms for these migrants to access health. What we have learned over the period of cross-border is the issue of participation of Office of the Consul General. We have seen that it's helpful in terms of speeding up the process of FTR. We have also learned that when we cross-border was introduced, there was issue of shelter visits, wherein delegates from other countries will come to South Africa to encourage children to volunteer for a repatriation. We have learned that that visit should be taken at a national level, wherein this visit should be done by the principals at the national level. Also, use of campaigns at the destination to sensitize on the gender of migrating illegally, and this is done with the children and the youth to embark on a safe migration, meaning that we are raising awarenesses not only because it's a calendar month, time and again, time out, we are raising campaigns in terms of sensitizing the communities. We have learned through the period that at the moment in all countries we have the focal person that you know that if you have a case that you need to address with a particular country, this is the focal person, and this has improved in terms of communication and also information sharing during the cross-border. And when we share the minutes and also when we share the agenda, we know that this is the person that we need to contact with. The importance of having the local structures in South Africa, we have seen in both countries, we have seen that is working, wherein we have the district structure, the provincial structure, and also the national structure. In terms of cross-cutting issues, we have picked up the same, like my colleagues indicated, issue of language barrier. It's one of the challenges. Information management system, as we indicated during yesterday and today, that we lack a system that we can say really it can provide, give us the data that we will able to influence the political decisions. But we still have to look at this issue so that we can able to influence those with, we can able to come up with resources. Lack of reintegration programs in most countries. We have discussed this. We have also learned when we do this cross-border coordination that there's a limited space of sharing the reintegration programs in both countries. Issue of cultural, it has been raised. We have also learned that it's a cross-cutting issues. Issue of documentation, it's also a cross-cutting issues. Because in other services, these children, they have to furnish a document to be able to access. Issue of cost for integration and repatriation, wherein we need to come up with a project of saying back to home campaign. In terms of, the laptop is doing something now. In terms of recommendation, we have concluded, we come up with this recommendation to say it's a good to include migrants and people from different cultural background. For an example, community workers. For an example, Save the Children have introduced in one of the provinces in South Africa a cultural mediator, which means it really assisting. If social workers, they have to do assessment with this child from DRC. So we contact a cultural mediator, which they've been introduced by Save the Children. So our concern is about how possible to sustain that, but we have seen in our province that is really assisting us. also a change agent, and also a project awareness raising campaign to assist. Another recommendation, learning the best practice from other countries on the cross-border forums, like for an example, Zambia and Mozambique, is also very much important to learn from the best practice so that we can be able to implement in other part of the country. Start with having a standardized data management tool. We'll be emphasizing on this issue. I think this is the right time to start to have that data management tool rather than talking about it. And the year come, we don't have, we're still talking about it. Maybe as we are in this forum, we should start to make sure that we operationalize it. That is the end of our recommendation in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. I think there's a lot of very good recommendations and lessons learned. I think that can be used to draw joint lessons and learn from each other. I was very impressed by that. So now we'll move to maybe a segment around making a few follow-up questions. So I'll make a couple of follow-up questions to all the four panelists to try to deepen some of the conclusions and recommendations that you have just presented, and then we'll take the discussion forward to the forum with a small question and answer session to all the panelists. So let me. Thank you. So I'll ask two questions to every one of the panelists, and I'll ask you to reply briefly. So the first two questions are: what do you think are the greatest achievements that have come up from your collaborative meetings? And the second is how this collaboration has concretely contributed to the protection of children in the different borders that you've been cooperating with, the different countries, border countries that you've been cooperating with. So I'll start maybe with, to my left, with a colleague from Mozambique.
Muito obrigada. Relativamente à questão de quais foram as duas maiores realizações, nós neste trabalho de conjunto com o trabalho dos cross-borders, das realizações, podemos sacar aqui duas, conforme a solicitação. Nós achamos que houve muita evolução na troca de informações, porque os cross-borders facilitaram-nos este contacto e conhecimento único. Antes, a circulação era por via de documentos, e isto sabemos como é que é a circulação de documentos, às vezes não é eficiente, mas este contacto permanente facilitou-nos o conhecimento mútuo e melhor gestão dos casos que nós temos de crianças migrantes ou não acompanhadas que se movimentam de um país para o outro, tanto de Moçambique, assim como os outros países que fazem parte do cross-border. Nós achamos que esse foi o primeiro ganho, o fluxo de informação. Como segunda questão, nós achamos que os cross-borders permitiram um pensamento único, partilharmos as nossas preocupações em conjunto. Facilita-nos que ao longo da região nós tenhamos procedimentos uniformizados e que todos tratemos da nossa situação ou tratemos da questão da proteção das crianças em movimento ou migrantes não acompanhadas de uma forma uniforme. Uniformizamos os nossos procedimentos para facilitarmos os nossos processos, assim como de um país para o outro. Agora, a questão de como é que esse relacionamento, esse trabalho contribui para a maior proteção da criança. Eu penso que o princípio que norteia cada um dos nossos países é que cada criança tenha os seus direitos observados e que cada uma das crianças tenha direito de crescer numa família. Então, quando nós temos esse fluxo de informação a fluir como deve ser, os contactos de cada país bem identificados, nós achamos que há maior proteção, porque quando há aquelas questões de retorno da criança para a origem, o circuito de circulação de informação é mais sigiloso, protege principalmente os dados da criança, protege a informação que é relacionada à criança e facilita o processo de retorno seguro, assim como a integração segura. Então nós achamos que esse é um dos maiores ganhos que esse processo dos cross-borders trouxe, o retorno seguro às origens para todas as crianças e que também o processo tornou-se mais seguro que antes de começarmos a ter esses processos de trabalho conjunto dos cross-borders. Obrigada.
Muito obrigado. So we continue with the same two questions to Zambia.
Thank you very much. I think with the greatest achievement that Zambia has recorded is regards to the protection of infrastructure that has been identified. We've seen that law enforcement officers have been trained to use the best practices in handling stranded migrants, as well as also enabling the stranded migrants to access social amenities such as health. And then when it comes to how the collaboration has greatly contributed, we look at the balance that it has brought about between the Constitution, which is the part that law enforcement officers have been helped to have a balanced view so that they may promote the rights of these stranded migrants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. South Africa.
Thank you very much. The greatest achievement is the issue of improvement in terms of communication between the countries. The communication has improved. Also, there's an increase of number of unaccompanied and separate migrant children who are being repatriated. Also, we have noted that children are no longer deported back to the country of origin. And also, we noted the greatest achievement of establishment of different CYCC within South Africa to cater for the need of unaccompanied and separated migrant children. And also, when they are receiving services from this end, they follow the relevant legislation within South Africa, like our Children's Act. Those are the greatest achievements. In terms of how collaboration contributed on protection, we have learned that even the unaccompanied separate migrant children, there are services like any other children in South Africa. So that is the greatest achievement. In other words, we don't separate to say this one is unaccompanied. Even when we place them to our CYCC, we don't say we are placing this child from this CYC, so we just place them whenever there is a space in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I think we're missing Zimbabwe, sir.
Okay, thank you. We have quite a lot of achievements. I'm just going to mention a few. First and foremost, we don't, children are no longer getting deported. We have memorandum of agreements between the countries, Zambia and South Africa and Mozambique, whereby we have standard operational procedures for different countries, and this has led us to come up with the national referral mechanism on how to receive and help the children that will be on the move. We have also, as a country, we have also included a clause of specifically children on the move, that is unaccompanied, the protection of unaccompanied minors. And what has the cross-border forum contributed to the protection of the minors? Now we have strengthened our documentation, our tracing and our unification. The processes are now easy, and this has also helped us to safeguard the children on the move. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to throw out another couple of questions for you to reply. Let me see which ones are more useful, because you've already replied some of the ones that I already had in line. I think we've heard quite a bit about cross-border cooperation in the many presentations that have been made, and cross-cutting obstacles to this administrative cooperation amongst themselves, challenges, but also solutions to avoid these challenges. So I'm going to ask you about the preventive side. What kind of programs you think should be scale up to on prevention? Start again.
De facto, a melhor estratégia é prevenir do que intervir já em situações críticas. Moçambique tem neste momento programas do governo que ajudam a melhorar a condição social das famílias, até segundo a capacidade instalada. Agora, nós achamos que esses programas ajudam a evitar este movimento ilegal de pessoas, incluindo crianças. E, para além dos programas da robustez que está-se a tentar instalar no país do sistema de proteção social, nós estamos a realizar campanhas de informação, conforme foram aqui ditas, acho que no início, quando nós apresentamos as realizações de cada país, nós destacamos aqui a realização de campanhas. Então, nós priorizamos a robustez do programa de proteção social básica ao nível do país, que orienta e estrutura a assistência social olhando para aquilo que são os serviços sociais básicos para minimizar as condições de sobrevivência das famílias. Achamos que, de alguma forma, isso vai ajudar a diminuir o movimento de famílias com crianças ou o movimento de crianças com o pretexto de procura de melhores condições e melhores serviços, assim como para outros efeitos de trabalho infantil e outras questões. Também destacamos essa questão de informação, de campanhas de informação sobre as desvantagens da imigração ilegal. Então, nós achamos que essas duas questões são principais para a prevenção deste fenômeno do movimento ilegal, ou assim como a migração ilegal. Obrigada.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much. I think the first initiative that we'll take as Zambia to prevent this problem of unaccompanied and separated children is first to raise awareness both to service providers and the communities, because it will give, when the service providers and the communities have the right information, it will enable, promote the rights and also protect these vulnerable children. Then secondly, we need to have improved coordination among service providers and also the cross-border countries, so that we can address the plight of the children on the move. Thank you.
South Africa. Can you tell us, what is working and what is not working?
Thank you very much. In terms of prevention, even though in South Africa mostly we are the destination end, our main focus mostly is on care and protection. But in terms of raising awarenesses in South Africa, what we are doing, we with the child protection actors, we observe the calendar month. For an example, Child Protection Week. Just to give an example, Minister of Social Development is visiting Limpopo this year for during Child Protection Week. An issue of unaccompanied separated migrant children have been highlighted that the minister need to be briefed on. And also, we do have a calendar month of 16 days of activism. We are also raising issues that are affecting unaccompanied and separated migrant children. We do observe International Day, your Universal Day for Children, Day for African Child, your Refugee Month, and Migrants Day. We do observe them. But our main focus in South Africa is on care and protection. But during those calendar months, we do raise awarenesses to the migrant communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zimbabwe.
All right. The programs that will have to prevent children or to reduce the number of children on the move is strengthening the case management system, coming up with income generating projects that will address the push factors why children will be moving, testing unknown campaigns. That's more of raising awareness of safe migration. Also, putting a strong system for the MIS in structure. Then more of coming up with memorandum of agreements with countries that we don't have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last question, a bit more general. What now? What are the next steps you think need to be taken? What is the most important? You are the minister in charge. What would you say needs to be done now? Not necessarily a minister, but concretely in your cooperation, in your bilateral discussions, what can be done to improve things?
Obrigada. Bom, a questão que nos foi colocada é o que se pode fazer para melhorar essa situação. Bom, nós iremos continuar a priorizar as campanhas de informação e sensibilização sobre os perigos do movimento de crianças não acompanhadas, assim como a migração ilegal. Iremos também continuar a fortalecer o sistema de proteção social no nosso país, principalmente na proteção das crianças, por forma a dar as condições mínimas de sobrevivência das famílias. Porque nós achamos que a situação social das famílias condiciona muito a escolha ou não da entrega ou é uma das causas principais que nós encontramos para as famílias deixarem os seus filhos transporem as fronteiras não acompanhadas ou sozinhas à procura de melhores condições ou de um trabalho que se considera ser digno na sua forma de analisar as questões. Então, nós consideramos que é o fortalecimento dos sistemas de proteção social em nossos países e continuarmos a massificar os programas de proteção social. Particularmente em Moçambique, nós estamos neste momento a finalizar o Plano Nacional de Combate ao Tráfico de Pessoas, assim como a migração ilegal. E nós esperamos que esse plano, a nossa expectativa é que esse plano nos ajude a ultrapassar muitas questões que aqui temos. E também uma das questões destacadas neste plano é a proteção legal. E outra questão também que ressalta neste plano é o acompanhamento da assistência social para as crianças retornadas. Então, esse plano, para além desses eixos, tem outros eixos que nós consideramos que, como país, vai nos ajudar a estruturar melhor a nossa intervenção. Então, nós achamos que essa expectativa e são essas ações que o país tem em vista para mitigar ou resolver, prevenir essa situação de movimentação de crianças não acompanhadas. Então, são algumas das questões, são várias, mas são algumas questões que podemos destacar aqui como ações de prevenção.
Zambia.
Thank you very much. What is next for Zambia? Zambia is being bordered by 8 countries, and we have these cross-border meetings with 3 of our neighbors who would want to duplicate these cross-border initiatives with the rest of the countries, because we know that even these other countries that we are bordering with that do not have the cross-border initiatives are also affected by children on the move. Would want to promote the rights and the protection of vulnerable children. Just like we would want Zambian children that are on the move to be protected by other countries, would also want to in turn protect these other children from other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa.
Thank you very much. Our next step would be to introduce case management session in during our meetings, and also introducing the same reporting template so that we share the same information, then we have the same information, and also strengthen our local forums in other provinces, your provincial forums and your district forums in other parts of South Africa, and also to enhance and strengthen a working relationship with other countries, and making sure that we know about the different MOUs that are signed within the countries, where we are having the same objectives and care for and protection for the children. Thank you very much.
Okay, as for Zimbabwe, we'll strengthen community structures and governance systems whereby children come from, and this will enhance the policies and the procedures. Then also improving the regional and regional coordination and collaboration with other countries, amending of the Children's Act or any act that will affect the protection of the children. We could amend it in favor of the protection of children. Engagement of other key players in strengthening our case management system would be one of the few of the steps that would come up with.
Thank you very much. So now I think it's time to open a bit the discussion, only a bit, because there's a lot of us here today. So I will take, I suggest to take 3 questions from the floor that you are asking your colleagues in the panel, or you for that matter if you want, but mostly your colleagues, I'd imagine, and then we'll take the replies. Not necessarily, you don't need to reply to all the questions, but the ones that you feel you can make a difference, you can reply to them. So so let's take questions from the floor. We're gonna start from the end of the. Can you stand up, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to make this comment yesterday as well on the presentation from Zambia regarding the child helpline, because I hear that it's one of the areas that they're saying they're doing well. And I think one of the comments, what the presenter said yesterday was, if it's possible to use the child helpline as a way of ensuring that children have access to the services, because they'll be able to call directly when they need the services, and it also assists with referral. What I wanted to find out from the other countries here is whether the other countries also have helplines. I know that the Child Helpline International has gone around to ensure that all the countries have a system like the one Zambia was talking about, and I know that a number of countries in the SADC region also have child helplines. What I wanted to find out from Zambia, but also other countries, is do you have child helplines? And if you do, when you have meetings, because I know that they have like annual or biannual meetings to discuss how they can collaborate, are you also discussing how you can ensure that part of the collaboration is ensuring the safety and the protection of migrating children? Thank you.
Thank you. So another question.
Thank you. Mine would be to touch on what she has said regarding the helplines. That in 2014, SADC ministers also committed further to establishment of the helplines across the SADC region, a common number that can be used across the region. And this was signed by all the ministers within the SADC region. Perhaps our discussions as we go forward should also be to look at how far we have been able to implement the resolution from the SADC ministers. I do have a question regarding prevention of children from moving. And my interest would be to all the panelists to say, to what extent have we done some sort of profiling of the children that move and that we then consequently find? Because we seem to be giving services to the children at their country of destination, but what sort of profiling have we done to specifically look at the child that we are assisting, and so that we can then have targeted interventions in addressing push factors? The last one, it's unfortunate that the METSA presentation is going to come at the end. One would be interested in the connection between our efforts and the SADC Secretariat. See that this is an effort that is done at a regional level. To what extent do we work with or do we see any value in us connecting to the SADC Secretariat to ensure that whatever it is that we're trying to do actually does have the regional feel? Thank you.
Our cameraman has a question.
So I guess there's a fine line that I think in the comments is getting blurred a little bit with regards to prevention. So I just wanted to, I guess, mention the difference between unsafe migration and preventing unsafe migration and preventing migration, because that's two very different things. So I'm kind of curious if the panelists could kind of mention that too, because I think the awareness work in Mozambique, I guess, is more about the risks. Whereas addressing push factors is a bit more general prevention. And maybe as a destination country, South Africa as well, I guess, you know, it's quite a difference between saying don't come here and if you come here, please do so safely. So just a comment on that, please.
I have two questions. One is, and it's not just the panelists that should respond to these questions. We have a whole room full of people that have a lot of information and experiences. So by all means, if there is a question and somebody from the floor has something to add, please do so. So my question was more about in terms of the cross-border collaboration. So the cross-border collaborations is various countries meeting and seeing how best to address to protect migrant children. But how much are we doing in regard to learning from each other? So if Mozambique says that children can access basic services without documentation, is this something South Africa is thinking about? And then the issue of accessing healthcare in Zambia, is this something other countries are taking? So while these meetings are happening, are we actually learning from one another as a region? And are we taking that forward? The second question was more on sustainability. And how as various governments, are we thinking about sustaining these forums as well going forward? If this is something on the agenda, so that it's not something that we've done for so many years and then falls apart and then we start from afresh again.
There you go. I suggest to leave it for the time being there, so to allow for some kind of interaction around the questions that have been put on the table and are around child cooperation on child helplines, have SADC resolutions being implemented? Has providing of children taking place for targeted interventions? Is there a role for the SADC Secretariat? I think this also connects with the issue of our governments taking ownership, and are we learning together of these processes? Otherwise, things could fall apart and around joint learning. So maybe I start with the panelists, and then we open to the rest of the colleagues in the room to reply or come in if they feel they have anything to add. Again, not need to reply to all of the questions.
Obrigada. Bom, a primeira questão foi relativa a linhas de apoio à criança. Moçambique é membro de vários fóruns, o mais regional é a SADC, e está a implementar as recomendações. Nós temos em funcionamento no nosso país a linha 116, acho que é a linha que agora já é internacional de apoio à criança. Moçambique já está a implementar a linha Fala Criança, nós denominamos linha Fala Criança, e tem o número 116. E está disponível para todas as crianças e é grátis. Está neste momento operacional. Agora, qual é o perfil das crianças que se encontram nessa situação de movimento ilegal e crianças não acompanhadas? Bom, do trabalho que temos feito e da troca de informações, assim como das nossas intervenções de assistência à família para a reunificação, encontramos dois tipos principais. Primeiro, nós encontramos crianças que abandonam a sua casa ou o seu leito familiar à busca de outros ambientes por estar a sofrer algum tipo de violência dentro de casa. E quando nós fazemos a reintegração da criança, trabalhamos sobre esse aspecto. Um outro perfil de crianças que encontramos é de pais que entregam a sua criança para cuidar dos outros que estão num outro país porque vão lá sob pretexto de procurar emprego para poder ajudar a família. Então são esses dois perfis principais que encontramos. Na verdade encontramos vários outros, mas estes são os mais frequentes. O trabalho que fazemos com essas famílias, acho que quando nós falamos da nossa experiência sobre a gestão de casos, partilhamos aqui que temos um sistema de gestão de casos para crianças órfãs e vulneráveis, onde nós primeiro fazemos levantamento das necessidades da criança e, olhando para aquilo que é o motivo da saída da criança da sua família, nós trabalhamos sobre esta necessidade para podermos ultrapassar e criar melhores condições para a família. Então é esse mais ou menos o processo de identificação de perfil e assistência à família, assim como a criança, olhando para aquilo que são as necessidades da própria criança dentro da sua família, que essa é a nossa prioridade. Obrigada.
Thank you very much. I think I'll comment on the child helpline. Yes, Zambia has a child helpline in place, but then we realized that the awareness that was raised wasn't enough. So one of the measures that we want to put in place is for the collaborating partners between law enforcement officers and the other partners to include this helpline in whatever IC materials are published. Thank you.
Thank you. In South Africa, we do have child helpline. The other one that is based at the national office in the Department of Social Development. And besides that, we also have the Child Line organization, which is in all provinces. It's an NPO that is funded by social development. And besides that, we also have child forums at the local municipalities. In each and every municipalities is expected to establish child protection forums wherein issues of children are being discussed and also be part of every plan within local municipalities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think what we do, our neighbor South Africa has just mentioned, But just to answer on the question that was asked, how much are we doing from learning from each other? I think I'll just give my colleague to respond to this.
What I've noticed is that in the visits that have been taking place, especially at the childhood centers, I think we are improving in terms of where the children are held for safekeeping. And the visits that I understand have taken place between Zimbabwe and South Africa, for example, they have shown each other that the facilities are good enough for having the children being there before we identify and trace back the families. So that's a lesson that has been positive for the two countries.
Yeah, now we open the floor for your replies and interventions.
Okay. Oh, mine is a question, sorry. It's a question. Okay. Can I go on?
Yeah, go ahead, I think.
Okay. My concern is on resilient building practices. Are they in place for that are specifically directed to the unaccompanied migrant children or families, or any other family strengthening programs that are in place? I think it's a bit related to the preventative measures that can be taken or addressing the push-pull factors that we see now and then, that children have been moving, even if they've been repatriated, then they start again moving back to where they were before. Thank you.
Thank you. Mine is a response, just to add to the resources that were being mentioned in terms of protecting children on the move. And one of such which was being mentioned was the helpline, the telephone one. I just wanted to add that within South Africa, we've also developed a Stay Safe booklet, which is being distributed through all partners in ports of entries and in facilities that keeps children, which is basically a booklet, a child focused booklet, which provides resources beyond just the helplines. And per town, per province, if a child finds themselves what is the most closest help they can get. So this booklet is written, is translated into predominantly most of the languages being spoken in the Southern Africa, and it's being distributed through our port of entries and other stakeholders. So I think that's one of the resources that we might plug as a learning resource that we can use within the region.
Mine is an answer, I think, on the question of the child helpline, and also what we're learning from each other. When it comes to a child helpline, in Zambia, we're working very closely with the child helpline, building capacity also of the team that conducts the counseling using the telephone, because we know that I think when it comes to children that are migrating, there are specific needs. So we have built capacity in those counselors, but also we have published the national referral mechanism. So like what would be the needs of this child at that particular moment. So the first line officials and also with the helpline, they know where they can refer this child to. When it comes to learning from each other, there have been a lot of lessons learned in the cross-border mechanisms. I'll give an example with Zimbabwe. I think that is where there was a lot of resilience building interventions and also livelihood interventions to prevent the push factors, to address the push factors. And this is something that we have also incorporated in Zambia with families that are at risk of separation. But also, I think with Mozambique, we had our cross-border mechanisms. They have been able to come to Zambia and learn how we're able to actually formulate the national referral mechanism and how they can replicate it in Mozambique. So all these have been lessons learned coming from the cross-border initiatives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My question is to some countries that are here where they have a child line. I think one of the recommendations during the regional meetings with Child Helpline International was that all countries that are hosting the child line should start with the number 116, so that regardless of where the child finds herself or himself, is able to remember that number easily, to just call 116. If they're in South Africa, they'll contact the helpline. If they're in Malawi, if they're in Mozambique or Swaziland. So the question is, what is it that is happening in the countries where they're not using 116? Because Child Helpline International has offered the expertise that they can engage government and the authorities that are regulating these lines, so that they can assist in ensuring that all child helplines are using the number 116. So maybe those who are not using 116, they can update us what's going on, or are there any steps that they are taking that they start using 116 number. Thank you.
Okay. For Zimbabwe, we have lessons learned from the cross-border coordination meetings. We adopted the national referral mechanisms that we got from Zambia. And for awareness raising, Zimbabwe came up with a booklet on the dangers of unsafe migration, child-friendly booklet, which was also copied by South Africa, and also on the standard operational procedures. Zimbabwe and South Africa came up with the standard operational procedures on how to handle unaccompanied and separated migrant children, which was also, we also implemented that in Mozambique and also Zambia. So we also copied from what we have with Zimbabwe and South Africa. So we realized that it was a working tool which is required in handling unaccompanied and separated children. So we replicated that same standard operational procedures in the other countries. Though we have not yet finalized with Zambia, but with Mozambique we have done that. So at the end of it all, we'll have a regional standard operational procedure, which we have realized that it's working very well in handling unaccompanied and separated migrant children.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Just to make a small intervention. I've been to a couple of cross-border meetings, and one of the things that I heard a lot is about the involvement of media in the forum. And today I was surprised because I didn't hear about it. But we're talking about the awareness, raising awareness. And one of the things that happens the most nowadays is that people have most of the information through the media. So I would like to know, how is the forum using the media? So could we maybe consider using posters or other means in order to raise awareness? I think that would be more effective than waiting a whole semester or a trimester to make a campaign. I feel like a message which passes through media, like weekly or every day, would be more effective to raise awareness than a campaign that happens once a trimester.
Thank you. Maybe last two interventions or reactions from our panelists or from the floor.
Bom, eu gostaria de comentar uma questão que foi-nos colocada na altura em que intervimos, depois não fizemos menção. É acerca da sustentabilidade dos programas que nós referimos, que a educação básica é grátis e os serviços de saúde também têm esta filosofia. Bom, os programas de educação e saúde são financiados, na maior parte, pelo Orçamento de Estado, mas porque sabemos do peso que esses dois sistemas trazem no orçamento, olhando para aquilo que é a produção interna de Moçambique, contamos com dois fundos de parceiros. A área da saúde tem um fundo comum de parceiros e a área da educação também tem um fundo de parceiros onde complementam aquilo que é o déficit do Orçamento de Estado, que é para assistirmos, que é para garantir a funcionalidade dessa filosofia que o governo adotou para assistência na área de saúde e na área da educação. Então, é basicamente a fonte é o Orçamento de Estado, através da produção interna e apoio dos parceiros com fundos específicos na área de saúde e da educação. Obrigada.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add to the voice of a colleague, the partner from Zambia. I'm not too sure, maybe there's a deliberate policy to limit the cross-border meetings to just a few of these selected countries, because I think the point that she raised, if we are really to look at addressing this situation in the entire SADC region, there are more other countries that equally play a very crucial role that are not even part of this gathering. And so I think going forward, we need to also start thinking as to, first of all, why do we not have those countries here? And possibly look for rooms and how best we can accommodate the other countries that are not here in order to help us arrive at some of the solutions. For one main reason, and that is to address the push factor issue. I know that, like in the case of South Africa, mostly it's at the receiving end. And so you can't entirely put the whole responsibility on South Africa to take care of all these issues. We need to also engage the source countries where these children are coming from. What is it that is making them leave, and how best can we address that? And so to look at this holistically, unless we have even the other countries where these children are coming from with us here, that's the only best way we can be able to comprehensively address the push factor issues. And I think we need to create room to ensure that the SADC region is well represented in this forum. And I think looking at even just the presentations by the panelists, one of the issues that comes out that perhaps also is a need for focus on is the need to invest in a case management approach. We should reach at a point going forward where we successfully address the needs of the child and not just merely reunifying the child with the family. Once sort of intercepted or once found in a very vulnerable situation as a child migrant, we must be able to have a very systematic case record system in place to address the needs of that child. And I think looking at a number of presentations and even the previous ones which looked at the health, we look at the health needs and the education needs and the protection needs. But to do that, we need a very systematic tools in place for case management to address that. And I think the moment we begin to look at these issues in a more systematic manner and with tools in place to guide the processes, then we'll at least be able to record some progress against our chat. Of course, having also to address the information management system. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think I'll close it. We'll have to close the panel now. I will not try to summarize all the many ideas and interventions that have been made. I think it would be very important, of course, that this seminar tries to, in the best possible and operational way, try to systematize all the many interventions that you get from this and other panels, because there's a lot, I think, of good joint learning that is taking place, and I'm personally very impressed with the discussions. I'll just maybe try to restate something that has already been said, which is I think if we all start with the idea of the universality and the protection of children as our starting point, that's the best way to go about things, and to try to solve and improve the coordination between all different governments and civil society and media that has already been mentioned, that are of course part of the debate. So with this, I would like to thank Save the Children for having invited the European Union. We will continue working on migration and engaging with all your countries, and SADC for that matter. We have a regional program coming with IOM, ILO, and the SADC Secretariat to try to facilitate the sustainability that has been raised. And we keep working with the governments on the creation of the best possible, I think, migration and refugee compact that is being discussed. And thank you very much to all the panelists and to all the colleagues and good questions from the room. Thank you very much.